Today, our friend is Yolanda Beckers, all the way from Naples, not Italy, but Florida. Although one could think it could be just as easily Naples, Italy in today's world. So that's something I've always thought of recently, is that even though we're more socially distanced, we're closer than ever. And our connection here is a good example of that. We've never even had a chit chat, but today we are, with further distance between us. And it's just like being with you. And the subject given for today was loving without subservience. So as I bring you on, Yolanda, let's start with that question. And I'm very interested to hear what's your response to this statement, loving without subservience.
Yeah, yes. Well, the moment I thought about that is the feeling of a pure heart. So what is really a pure heart, where there is nothing attached to it? There's no condition, there is no little strings of your actions and your feeling of pure love towards your actions, right? It's all just coming from purity. And looking in my own life, being married and having a child and having gone just like you, Greg, things come up, right? And
oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yes, and you say, am I really so unconditionally in this, or is there a little string there, here and there? So my whole life has been such a beautiful journey of being in a family, working, having all those things to practice. Is my heart pure? And do I do this very naturally, or do I need to think about it? And overall, I feel for me, it's not so difficult to come from that pure place and being generous. But I am aware when things sometimes have a little attachment to it. And then I say, recognize it and say, okay, you have this attachment, now make it pure. Make it the way it is, totally without any strings attached to it.
Well, you've gone right to the heart of it. As you know, I would see that there'd be several steps to get there, but you hit it right immediately. Is it's about purity, and the purity of, and then the other thing related to that, you also touched upon that, is you've related now subservience and attachment. Now that is easy for me to understand, because I can feel that myself. But how, for people who might not be used to that, how would you draw the parallel between subservience and attachment?
Yeah, that's a good question, because I always feel when there is something not really coming from that sense of purity, that there must be somewhere an attachment, right? Say, for example, in a relationship, and the relationship requires something. And the one person will say, well, I do that, but then you have to do this for me. And no, that to me is already a certain attachment. So when I say then, no, this has to come from a pure heart, no attachments to it. So relationships are often quite a nice example of to check yourself and to see, is there an attachment? Is there a condition to it? And usually it's always the case.
Oh, it doesn't take long to find out. It's very clear, you know, what you were describing about, well, if I do this, then you'll have to do this. To me, that sounds like a business deal. You know, and so then I'm thinking, how much of my relationships are based upon this transactional process of I do this and you do that, which is commerce, really, and so different from a place of purity. So that sounds wonderful, but how do I get pure? What is purity? You know, how do I get to having a pure desire if I still think that I have a need for someone to behave in a certain way? And then I want to get along with them. So then I find that I'm having to stifle myself and subserve. I think the word service probably gets a bad rap because of the prefix sub. Like, service is good, but we think that, no, I can't say for everyone, but there is that feeling that service means I'm doing something without getting something in return, or that I'm going to be pushed around by someone. What was that? Okay. You're there. You think you block people out and the attachments come. They come anyway, knocking at the door, and you just have to be okay with it. So we get a perfect example of everything right in front of us. But again, I want to get your feeling of that, of drawing that relationship of attachment and subservience, and how do I even get to a place called purity?
Yeah, I really believe, having gone and still going through that journey, is that first of all, that completeness within the self, right? Am I aligned with my greatest self, which I would call the soul? Is my life run by that awareness of who I really am? Or is my life run by the ego, which always brings the disalignment and the expectations and everything else that comes when you have a feeling of attachment? Right? So that the responsibility that everything that happens always returns back to me. It's not about the other. It's never about the other. It's always about me. And once I started really to understand that and see that whatever happens in my life must be a gift from the divine, because I need to see something. And if I am attached or I have conditions, then a lesson will come in front of me, and then I'm the one that's responsible, and the one who gives the lesson is a gift.
It's beautiful. I was thinking, if I was your teacher, I'd give you A+, because that hits home directly. It tells me that you've really put a lot of practical application to this, is that these things are not found out through theory. And that's one of the big differences, that there's so many books, right? And anyone can read a book. I could have my library filled with books, but knowledge without love has no power. And I believe that what you're really talking about is the base of all this, is the type of love, that, not of the love of exchange, the love where I'm going to give you something and we're going to transact and you give me something back, but it's a love that's given from the heart. And it doesn't have any conditions on it at all. It's just like, here it is. But doesn't that necessitate an awful big amount of self-respect?
Yes, for sure, Greg. For sure, one needs to have that alignment within the self. Because if we are, an embodiment of emotions, then those trigger points, they will come in situations. And then it's you who has the trigger point. And it's coming from something, we sometimes call that sanskars, right? Something that's already in you. And I see that it has to be released. It has to be acknowledged. We can't just be in denial about these things. So I acknowledge, okay, this is somewhere a trigger point or a sanskar in me. And I have to accordingly recognize it and work through that, so that I'm not staying stuck in little reactions here and there. Well,
even that takes so much self-respect in order to tolerate checking the self and seeing the cleaning that needs to be done. I oftentimes refer to my own spiritual life or process as house cleaning. That's all that I'm really doing, is that, you think you clean something and then you go over again and there's more. And so then you try it again and there's more, and you continue to do it. And it's not that has gone away yet, but I've learned to enjoy the process of house cleaning. And so when you enjoy it, then it's no longer a job. You know, it becomes a dance. Yes. And in dancing, you get all the exercises if you're running 5 miles, but you don't have any of the strain or burden of it.
Oh, yes. I love that. And I often say that actually, Greg. Dance with life. Life is a dance. And if you forget that, you really become heavy and you get stuck into the process. So we often hear remain light. What is it to remain light? What to have wings, really? What are your wings doing? When the wings are heavy, you can't fly. So everything that happens is, I see really, literally everything that happens is a gift. It's a gift for me to work on that process of purity.
You know, it really is, and that's the key. And I don't often think, you know, I wouldn't normally think that purity is the key to dancing and happiness. And what that is, I guess purity really means is I'm okay with what's on the inside, and I don't need you to behave in a certain way or say a certain word. In fact, when you are behaving in a way that I can see is not beneficial, I can do my best to offer what little I have that might be of benefit in that. So it's a simple give and take of good wishes, really. There is still some transaction going, but it's not in order to get something. It's in order to dance with everyone, so that we're all we all have different abilities, different skill sets, but we all can feel the music, you know. And so a lot of times we have to face the music, you know. Life is one moment of facing the music, and then there's an old song from the 1930s, let's face the music and dance, you know. And that it makes so much sense to me now that there may be trouble ahead, and before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have a chance, let's face the music and dance.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love
you know,
that.
and that's just popular music, but look how profound when you really understand what it means. So I really, another thing that comes up for me, and maybe you could help me with this, is that yes, I find that I do understand this, and I believe it's true, and I realize it's about power, but I find that sometimes that I have leakage. And what would be some tip or a guide or a hint that what causes my leakage, and what can I do to alter that, if that makes any sense to you at all?
Yes, of course. Well, you need very good glue. Yeah. And glue, for me, the glue is my connection with the divine, right? When the ego is trying to solve things, the leakage becomes more. And when I decide to surrender in a way and to give that over to that wonderful, strong energy of the divine or God, whatever you would like to call it, right? Just generally the source of that pure energy, then that is my glue. That is my source always to go to. And first of all, I need to become aware that there is a leakage, right? And often that happens in life when there is no awareness, we cannot fix it. So number one is always to become aware. And sometimes another person makes you aware of it. Well, there was a bit of leakage in the heart. Yeah, and attachment is a leakage in the heart too, right? That is very clear. I remember when my husband and I moved to the States, and we had this conversation, and I said to him, look, I am never going to make you happy. You are happy and I am happy, and together we are double happy. Because I cannot take the responsibility to make you happy. That is to me false. But for me, that is an attachment, that is leakage of the heart. And I said, but together with this pure heart feeling, it's good. but do not have all these expectations, you know, that certain things you need to get for it to receive. It's not going to work. So
No.
and I made it very clear. I think we made a big leap in our relationship then.
You're right. We live in a continuous laboratory where we get a chance in our relationships. The relationships that I'm having today, you know, it's so perfect that I'm getting exactly what I need if I just take the time to observe what's going on. And in a way, that's what meditation really is just stopping the merry-go-round for a few moments to get off and just take a pause and look and see what's going on. It's not solving the world's problems. It's taking a look to see what's going on. And as you said about the attachment, that really hit home, is that when I'm having attachment, it means I don't feel full in my own. And so I'm looking to you to help fill the void. And even though my experience tells me that that doesn't work for the one looking for it, and especially doesn't work for the one that thinks that they're going to make someone happy, because they're just going to burn themselves out of it. It will never end.
No, so right, like to understand that whole concept about the alignment. And I often think about the yin-yang, the female-male energies, when they are in total alignment in the self, that pull is just not there, right? Because it's aligned within the self, and it becomes a real healthy relationship that doesn't come out of a place of need, right? It becomes just a free, beautiful experience of true love.
Oh, just dancing with yourself. You know, you have, your partnership is an internal partnership, and just finding that, you know, I think we have troubles when we polarize ourselves in such a way that we're this or we're that. And now it's just like you see the world in general going towards a spectrum that's very inclusive, you know, that you can't even call, even I have a 12-year-old child, and she says, you can't say automatically he or she, we use they or them, because you can't assume how someone perceives themselves. And I said, wow, that's really, it's quite deep. And it's such a responsibility that, you know, I was just worried about how to play games at that age as compared to that.
Well,
okay.
That's very advanced. I mean, if I understand it right, to come already at that young age from a neutral place, right? It's more neutral.
It's what the new frame of this, what the new generation is bringing to the table, which actually gives one hope in seeing the future, that there's a new group of people who understand the difficulties that were going on, and this imbalance that we have of male, female, black, white, whatever the polarities are, and trying to find in a place of acceptance that we can all get behind as we're one human family.
Yeah, and that that whole vision about oneness in this world, and first it starts within yourself, and then to practice it also as a whole, because when somewhere there is suffering, in a way you are all connected. We are all connected to that energy. So for me, it's very important every single day that I hold the bigger picture of oneness in my own heart, and connect with it all. And if we can send love wherever it's needed, then I know it will be received. And I can, if you don't mind me telling a story that actually confirms.
I know what you're going to say, because I was going to bring it up. I could feel it. See, I'm connected with you enough about, you know, love traveling great distances without even seeing, right? Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a practice every day that I say to myself, wherever there is suffering, let me bring the energy of love. So I didn't even say a name anymore because my lists became really long and I stopped saying names. I just say whoever needs now a confirmation of love in their struggle and light from God, let it be done. So some years ago, I was in a church. I was invited to some kind of, it had to do with spiritual healing. And there was a band, and in that band was a man, and he was looking at me intensely all the time. I thought, what's going on there? So then there was a break, a pause, and he came down the stage and he said to me, I want to thank you for all those times where I was so close to death because I was using cocaine, and your face was always there. I want to thank you. Well, I had never seen the man before, ever. And so I realized it was for me really an amazing moment that when you do this practice, then it really is received. And perhaps God puts a face to it, which I never realized that would have happened. And then 2 more times, the same thing happened where people walked here in the center and said, I've already dreamt about you. I already knew when I saw you, I had already seen your face. So this subtle energy is so subtle but so profound that we are huge beacons of light that can help if we just pay attention to do that.
And how does that feel? How do you personally feel experiencing that?
Oneness. I feel immediately there is this oneness. I'm connected with all there is. I cannot see myself as a separate entity.
That is purity.
Yeah.
See, that's what purity is that the alloy that makes me seem different than someone else, because we can all have different alloy, but the essence is the same gold inside. Yes. And you're giving a tangible take on the whole thing, that it's not just a philosophy. It's more real than the life that we're experiencing physically.
Yeah, there's so much more to it, but it's a gradual process, and it's still constant learning. It's not like, okay, I'm always there. Of course, we all get our challenges and we need to be realistic with that. But again, all the challenges that come, I keep remaining in my own awareness that these are gifts. They are not there to bring me down. They're only there to make me more aware and to become more pure by these challenges.
Well, so that you can connect even easier and be more one. So that's all that's happening, is you're getting a chance to identify what needs to be tidied up. And so it's really wonderful. I think that's more than enough. It's overflowing with information and power. So why don't we close with, maybe you could guide us through maybe a 3-minute or so meditation commentary. How about that?
Yes, that's fine. I would like to do that. Thank you, Greg.
Yeah.
So just let us take a moment to concentrate on our breath. The breath is always connected to our speedy minds. So if we take 3 counts breath in, 1, 2, 3, hold it. And exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale, 1, 2, 3. Hold your breath. Exhale, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now just breathe as normal. Perhaps you can just keep a focus between your 2 eyebrows, the center of the forehead. Perhaps you feel some energy there. And I call that the door to pure consciousness or pure awareness. And just see that everything there is of peace, unconditional love, just pure. Let go of anything else. Just keep your focus on one point in the middle of your forehead. And then let that energy radiate outward. So imagine you are a lighthouse, sending this light to the world. Just generally into the world. Anybody who needs will receive. Perhaps you feel now an extension of your own light, becoming broader and broader. So you can sense that all this energy is there for you. And you connect this energy with the source, divine source, God. Now feel that energy entering you and filling your battery. And every atom of your being is full of light. Anything that's blocked or not aligned, just release. Let go. Now that I feel aligned and complete within myself, I have one thought of gratitude. Take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. And come back to the present moment.
And all is well.
And all is
Thank
well.
you. Thank you so much. I really took something from today's little conversation, and I appreciate it. I look forward to feeling your might and light as we continue. Om Shanti and goodbye. And thank you, Amar. Thank you very much.
Om Shanti.
All right. Bye.